Good evening and welcome to the stream. Um, Tonight we're going to continue with our playback of Might and Magic 2. I'm playing this on an emulator called Mini VMAC, which basically emulates a Mac 2 computer from about the time of this game. This game was originally released back in 1988 for the Mac Plus, and then not long after that, the color version appeared for the updated Mac 2. Back in the day, I played the black and white version of this game on my father's Macintosh SE, and I never got very far, but I spent a lot of time playing it nonetheless, and this time around, I aim to complete it. So without further ado, let's skip into the actual game. So what we've done so far is that we've completed the town of Middlegate, explored all of the areas up there, and leveled up. And then in part 2, we went into the dungeon beneath the town and explored the most of the dungeon and all of the areas there, killed all the monsters and solved the quests. And at this stage of the game, we're still in the town of Middlegate. We have a party of 6, and they are Sir Lancelot the Knight, Rogue, which is Sir Lancelot the Knight, Sir Roland, which is a paladin, William Tell, an archer, Pink Panther, which is a robber, Friar Tuck, a cleric, Magica the Spell, which is the sorcerer, and then in addition to the 6 characters in the party, we have 2 hirelings, which we are paying a fixed fee per day to join the party, and they are Drog, a barbarian, and Sir Hiron, a knight, and these are characters that we rescued from the dungeons below, and which we have been slowly leveling up with the rest of the characters. Most of my characters at this point are at level 7. The hirelings are still at level 6, and level 7 is about the right point to go into the second town, because it means that you've been able to level up both the paladin and the archer to a level where you can at least cast level 1 spells. In the case of Sir Roland the paladin, he is able to cast the clerical spells from level 1. And in the case of William Tell, which is the archer, he can cast the level 1 sorcerer spells. And it helps to have secondary magical casters in the party before traversing further on. The game actually makes it extraordinarily easy for you to travel to the next town. There is a portal here that we can use, and one of the things that we used in and will continue using is the wonderful skill added to the second version of this game, Might and Magic 2, which is the cartographer skill, which enables you to automatically map all locations that you have visited. So as you can see here, we have completed and visited every part of this particular town, but as soon as we enter into the portal and pay the 10 gold fee, we will enter into a new town, and as you can see now, we have just explored this one room. So our first task here is to find our way to the inn, because in this particular game and in this series, the only way to save the game is by entering the inn and signing the register. So if we want to be able to save the game and save our location here, we need to be able to find the inn. The sign said the slums. That's probably not the right way then. So the Wizard's Eye, that is most definitely not the inn. There will be a sign above the door. Big Al's accessories. I assume that's the blacksmith. Scirocco portal, probably a portal to travel to the town after this one. Slice opportunity is probably a skill that we can learn at some later stage. The sandy dunes, that sounds like something that we should at least check out. The Lucky Spade, the best gambler alive, will teach you his system for 200 gold. Take this special course. So in this particular game, every character can have up to 2 different skills that he can learn. And so far, the skills we've mastered is the cartographer, which I actually added to the first 2 characters in the party at the time, both the knight and the paladin. The reason I had 2 characters learn the skill is that if we are unlucky enough that either one of them dies in combat, at least the other one will still be able to map the areas, because if both the characters that have the cartographer's skills are down, there will be no mapping done. So I had 2 of them learn this particular skill. In addition to that, Sir Lancelot learned the Pathfinder skill, which enables you to travel over heavily dense forests, and Sir Roland the Paladin learned the Mountaineer skill, which enables you to travel in mountainous areas. Once we finish the towns, the next step is to move into the scenery, at which point these skills will come very much in handy. And they were both learned in the first town. The embassy. Rinaldo, the ultimate ambassador, will instruct you in the gentle art of diplomacy for 500 gold. This is another skill, and we will at some point explore these skills in this town, but not right now. And this would be the inn, the Hourglass Inn. The proprietor blows a pile of dust off the register and asks eagerly, "Can I sign you in?" "Yes, you may." So at this point, now the game is saved, and all the characters and the hirelings are in the town of Sandsobar. So we can leave the inn, and next time we start the game, we will start from this point. So at every point we make some major progress in the game, we will have to return to the inn to save our progress. So now we can freely roam around here and map the area a little bit. Here's the temple. The temple is used to heal characters and to learn new spells. The temple can teach you clerical spells. So our first mission here right now is to find the cleric, which is Friar Tuck, and have him learn these new clerical spells. Clerical spell 2-2, 2-5, and 2-7. And we'll check out what these are. Level 2. 2-2 is the heroism spell. 2-5 is protection from the elements, and 2-7 is weaken. So those are useful spells, and the only level 2 clerical spell that we haven't learned yet is Nature's Gate, which probably means that we will find that particular scroll in a dungeon somewhere further along in the game. One thing we want to do before we leave any room is slowly go around and check every wall to see if there's a hidden message somewhere on the wall. And very potentially later in the game, we will also have to revisit some of these rooms, because some of these walls are bound to be entrances to hidden locations in the game. It's fairly common for the game to have these messages scribbled on a wall somewhere, and it's a good idea to look at every wall and see if there is something of interest written on it, because often these are hints that help you at some later point in the game. This is an unlabeled door, so you never know what you're going into when you go into one of these unlabeled rooms. Often there's a spawning point for combat in one of the areas, but that is not the case here. This is just an empty room. Here is an interesting looking area of the map. There's actually nothing here yet. And it helps a lot to bring up the map so I don't get disoriented. So I hope I don't make you nauseous while traveling, because I'm using the keyboard to travel pretty quickly through the level. There's the tavern. The tavern is useful for a couple of things. First of all, amidst bloodthirsty brawling stands luscious Lucindra, the barmaid. Bells fly through the air as she asks, "Can I do you something?" "Yes, you may." First of all, you can buy a feeding frenzy, which basically stocks up your food to the highest level allowed, which is 40 per character. And that enables you to have rest 40 times before running out of food. Then you can also have drinks, and these are really potions, and they do various things to your skill levels for a short moment, for a short period of time. There are also some meals that you can have, which will alter some of your character's abilities. And then there are the last two options, which are tip the bartender and listen for rumors. Listen for rumors is exactly that, and the rumor overheard here is donate at all temples, which we've seen before and in multiple places in the game. It seems that to get further into the game, you need to travel to all the town and donate at all the temples, and then visit a certain location. And we received this tip earlier in the game. The exact text was: travel to portals to all towns, donate at the temples, then visit the Felbekarp fountain, which we haven't found yet. But this is basically the same rumor as we've heard before, and then you can tip the bartender, and that will eventually, we just missed it, to give you some sort of hint. S36 in location 74. So spell 36 is available in location 3.4, which is probably an XY coordinate in the town. Okay, we will check that out later, and it's likely to be a hidden room. Here is an interesting one. As chairs and tables fly, a mug hits you in the face. Brawl. Yeah, why not? We're always in. A bar fight can always be fun. This is a very difficult battle. There are 50 monsters of various different types, and some of them quite difficult. The juggler is a very difficult enemy, and the super sprite is as well. Then you have 40 of these thug trainees. We won't have a lot to lose. We just save the game so we can go into the spell. Although it's fairly likely that we will die during the battle. We should start by taking down the juggler, because what the juggler does is he's capable of juggling the entire party, so inflict damage on every member of the party, and he also changes the order of the characters. So the knight and the barbarian are no longer in front, so now it's the sorcerer, which has a very low number of actual hit points, that is in front, which is not a good idea. So Lancelot, we want to exchange positions here with the sorcerer, and again, and make absolutely sure that the sorcerer moves very much further down the list, because he only has she's a fairly low armor class and only 31 hit points. So if she's in front fighting the battle, then she will perish very quickly. And then we can get back to dealing with the enemy. We should probably cast some first aid spells as well. We want to take down the super sprite, because the super sprite is actually capable of cursing us. So we definitely want to get rid of that as quickly as possible. Most of the characters that are normally in front in a fight have melee weapons, which enable them to fight hand-to-hand combat. And most of the characters which I've aligned to be usually in the back have ranged weapons, which allows them to shoot the enemy either a bow, a blowpipe, or some sort of ranged weapon. So and then of course the magical casters, the cleric and the sorcerer, are mostly both of them are capable of shooting range-based weapons, but generally we use them for casting spells during combat. The inept wizard is a bit dangerous as well, because he can actually cast lightning bolts, but the super sprite is higher on the list. What we need to do right now, however, since we have two members of the party which are unconscious, is that we need to get going with killing the inept wizard, because if you get hit while you are unconscious, you die instantly. And although you can fix that pretty easily at the temple, it costs you 100 gold per level of the party member. And as you move to different towns, it becomes more and more expensive. So if you can avoid dying, that's usually a good idea. Now I'll use the power cure spell, which requires both spell points and gems to cast, but restores a lot more hit points. Since we still have 43 monsters to fight here, in an easy battle, what we would usually do in this situation is simply click the quick fight button until we can finish off the fight. But when you have this many monsters, and at least while we're slowly healing the characters back to health, we need to take things a bit more slowly. I see more thug trainees have been added to the fight, so they've added some friends. So now we have 71 of these monsters left. One of them isn't particularly difficult, but this number might actually present a bit of a problem. But we can continue healing and see where we can get. We're in a pretty good situation now, so if we just bash at them a little bit. Now we need to heal a little bit. Using a combination of direct attacks and melee attacks and ranged attacks. What the quick fight button does is that it basically selects for you whichever option is the topmost option. So in the case of Sir Lancelot, for example, that option would be attack, which basically means that you will fight whichever monster is on top here. Then you have fight, which means that you are able to pick which enemy from the list of the ones in front you can actually attack. Then you have block, which is a defensive move. You can exchange with another party member, you can use something from your backpack, or you can run away. And magical users can also use the cast option. So if you do a quick fight, it will basically use the first option that is not grayed out here, which also means that, for example, William Tell the archer will automatically fight or attack if he's in front instead of shooting his bow, which will yield better results most of the time. Since his bow is a better weapon than the melee weapon that he usually has. So a quick fight option is not optimal, and you can't actually select which option is used for each character in a quick fight. But when you are in a fairly easy battle, you can use the quick fight to your advantage, so you don't have to manually go through a large list of enemies one by one. There are now 53 of these left, and we don't have a lot of health left, but we have some, and we can heal a little bit as we go along. So it's not impossible. And we now have a dead party member in Magic of the Spell, the Sorcerer. And this is getting more and more difficult. We're out of spell points for the cure. So I'd say this is at this point a very difficult battle, and we'll try the quick fight, but I'm fairly sure that the end result here will be that we will perish. Yeah. So perhaps at a later point in the game, when we have leveled up a little bit more, we can attempt this brawl again. And that is usually the case for many of these locations, that they are quite difficult, and some of these encounters are random, and others are fixed battles with fixed enemies. So often you have to return to the same place and do the fight again. This is the monster ball. In each town there's an arena or a bowl where you can enter and fight monsters for cash prizes, and of course you also gain experience points, and you can go to the blacksmith in each town and purchase a ticket which will allow you to enter into these fights, and we might do that a little bit later. And that's usually a fairly quick and easy way to gain both cash and experience points. So here we have a battle which is much easier than the one that we just tried earlier. We have a juggler here which we need to kill immediately, but after that it's not a lot. Focus on the juggler first, since we want him out of the way so he doesn't kill us. As you can see now, the characters in front, which don't have the range weapons, can't just fight every monster. They have to fight the ones that are actually in front as well. So can't make every character automatically fight the the monster. The juggler has reordered the party, of course, so making it somewhat difficult for us. And we should probably heal the cleric at this point. Heal himself. And we will use the energy blast spell on the juggler and then try shooting it. Because although the juggler isn't actually in front, he can still juggle us because the juggle is a range-based weapon. So now we've killed the jugglers, and I think we will just beat these fairly easily. Rest here to recover our hit points and search the area, see if we can find some treasure. We have found a steel safe. We will use the robber to try to open the chest. And we received 312 gold per player character. And some weapons, a scythe +2 and a halberd +1, which we can sell because we already have pretty decent weapons for most of the characters. I don't think any of them has. Here's a scythe +1. This is actually a scythe +2, which is then better. So we can. The archer has a scythe +1, so we will exchange this, and it will enable us to do one more damage point each turn. And we can then sell the +1 at the blacksmith. There is nothing else in this particular spot, and it's very likely that this area is always a spawning point for monsters. There are these points in every map which always spawn a random encounter, and sometimes useful if you just want to fight a little bit to gain experience. Usually the ones in the towns are not terribly difficult, but the ones down in the dungeon below the towns can actually be quite difficult. Here are the slums that we saw earlier when we arrived through the terror portal. Here is the portal dune, which we can use to travel back to Middlegate, the first town. So this is where we arrived. There seems to be a faithful locksmith. While deftly shaping the curves of a slender yellow key, the shopkeeper announces, "Finished at last. Buy this little beauty for 1,000 gold." Yes, we will. And to gain access to the to various areas in the game, you need keys, and there are many types of keys in this game. There are keys to the castles, and there are these colored keys which gain access to different dungeons. We already have the green key, which we purchased in Middlegate, and now we also have the yellow key. And what I tend to do to not lose track of these keys is that I have the cleric carry the keys, so they're always stored in a character that is fairly late on in the roster, so I don't accidentally sell them to the blacksmith, which is not a great idea because you don't get the same amount of money that you use to purchase it. So basically, you're always going to be at a loss if you accidentally sell it again. Okay, so now we're here again. I turn left and right to check if there's some writing on the walls. And we're back here. So we can go up here again. There are bound to be some hidden areas in this town, as there always are in this game. This is the Mage's Guild. Sorcerers sort files of sands on the shelves and man bark spells. Interested? Yes, we are, but the Mage's Guild is for the sorcerer in the party, and it does the same thing for the sorcerer as the temple does for the cleric. It enables you to learn certain higher level spells. When you level up, you get certain spells, but to gain access to the rest, you need to learn them from the Mage's Guild, but you also need to buy access, and we need to find a room where we can buy entry into the guild, because you have to be a member of the guild to purchase the spells. So we haven't found that yet, so we can't really enter into it. So it's in some room that we haven't explored yet. Okay, so here is another unlabeled room. Let's go in here and explore what's here. In this case, absolutely nothing. And this was the gambling skill, which we probably need at some point. So we will need to have some of our characters learn that skill. Not right now. Was also a skill, but we should check out the rest of the room. So it's automatically mapped. We know we have visited it before. So now we're done mostly with the lower level here. There's nothing in here either. Drunk beyond belief, a sorcerer mumbles. Join the Mage's Guild for 200 gold. Yeah, so this would be the guy that's selling us entrance to the Mage's Guild in this particular town. So yeah, we're interested, very much so. Probably just finish exploring up here. Enter the Plains of Pearl? No, so this is to exit the town, going into the wilderness. Not interested in doing so right now. And for completeness sakes, I will also finish this room, so the button row of the map is complete here. Okay. So now we need to probably a good idea to visit the Mage's Guild again, which was here. Yes, we are very much interested. So now for our 2-7, 3-1, 3-4, and 4-1. 2-7 protection from magic. 3-1 and 3-4 acid stream and lightning bolt. Lightning bolt particularly useful, although it uses gems, which are somewhat of a rare commodity in this game that you usually only get by beating monsters. It's still it's a very useful spell. And also cold beam, which is useful for at least for the fire like elements in this game. So we will learn all of them, spend our gold during that, and now we've learned all of these spells, which we can then use. So that's done. We haven't gone here yet. And this is the training area. This is where we can go to train up to the next level. And we'll basically, at this point, we aren't ready to level up yet. We need more experience for every character, but this is where we go to level up. Um, so that's useful. And down below here is the embassy. This is the another skill. Just explore this room. Nothing else in here. That leaves the room up here. That's the inn. We might as well save at this point, so we don't perish and lose all the maps that we've been making here. Nothing more here. Well, there's a room on this side which we've already been in, and there's another room here which is the tavern where we perished earlier on. We're not interested in joining the brawl again. We're not gonna do that. Okay. Let's see. Now on the other side, this appears to be an empty room, of which there are many in this particular town. On the other side here is another door, which is the temple. We've been in here before. Learned some clerical spells, although we probably didn't quite finish exploring it. And there's a little gray area here, which is obviously a secret square on the map. And we just went through the wall into the secret space. And there is nothing in here, and nothing can be searched for. So this is just a wild goose chase. Okay. And now to explore the top half here, the northern parts. Sharko Portal, this will allow us to travel to Tundra, which is the third town, for 50 gold. We won't do that quite yet. We aren't even done exploring this particular town. Big guns, accessories. This is the blacksmith. And since we're here, we might as well sell these weapons that we unequipped earlier. And what I'm also going to do here is I'm going to check out whether we can buy some armor for the archer, because the archer is quite limited in the armor that he can actually use. So our archer has a fairly low armor class. He's still at armor class 8, while most of the frontline characters are already at level 10 or higher. So the most expensive is splint mail, but the archer can't wear a splint mail. And then there's the chain mail, which is okay for the archer, and we'll give him 6. What does he have right now? He has a ring mail, which only gives him 5. So this is a +1. It's not a lot, but we'll take it. So we'll trade this ring mail with the knight, and we'll sell it, and then we'll purchase the chainmail instead. trade that with the archer and equip that instead, which will bring us up to 9, which is at least one more than we had. Hopefully we will at some point find a chainmail +1 or 2, preferably one of the ones that have a letter in front like G, S, or B, which also, in addition to giving you a higher armor class, will then give you some protection from some of the elements, depending on whether they are B, G, S, or so on. All the B ones have give you a +15 additional resistance to poison. The G ones give you added luck, and the I ones give you additional resistance to sleep spells. The S ones give you additional resistance to energy spells, and most of these are, or all of these are something that you find in fights in dungeons and caverns along the map, and something that you are not able to buy in a store or at a blacksmith. Here we have an area which is just a bunch of doors with no names. This reeks of being some sort of encounter, and there's also this fairly large hidden area here, which must have an entrance here somewhere. Probably from, since we tried everything else, from this room. Yeah. We are in here. There's a door. I would say that our chances of running into an encounter here are fairly high. The door is locked. When you come across the both treasure and doors which are locked or have traps, there you basically have two options. You can either force the issue. In this case, you can bust the door, or you can try to unlock it. And we have a robber which is now at level 7, and he has a lockpick. So there's a decent amount of chance that we will be able to unlock the door. As you can see, the thievery percentage for the robber is at 51%, which basically means that you have a 50-50 chance of being able to unlock the door without accidentally triggering the trap. But usually for cases like this, it's simply easier to bash, although it doesn't always work. And inside are 6 hunchbacks, which is not really it's not a particularly difficult battle at all. We can simply just melee ourselves out of it. And we have found a wooden crate, and we'll have the robber try to find the trap, which, as we know, isn't always successful. So we get hit with it anyway, and we get 180 gold. So this was underwhelming, but we're at least done with it. And we leave the same way we came in. That isn't always the case. There are some cases where a hidden entrance isn't the hidden exit. So you need to go back and figure out another exit. And as I suspected, these are all monster cabins here behind these doors. The killer bees are actually fairly difficult. They are killer bees. They swarm and can attack multiple party members at the same time, and they don't have to wait for their turn to be able to attack you. So it's fairly important to try to take them out first before they get a chance to kill every member of the crew. Uh, which one of the characters needs this the most? Probably Sir Roland. Give him a power cure. And then we'll use, let's try our new spell, the lightning bolt on the killer bee, and that was enough to get down. So now we can finish the rest with the melee. And we found a decent treasure, 306 gold per party member and 1 gem. The game doesn't actually tell you how much gold you found. It just says that each share is worth of 306 gold and 1 gems, which basically means that each party member receives 306 gold and 1 gem. So even though we have 8 members, 2 of them are hirelings and they don't actually count in the treasure. So this means that we received 6 times 306 gold, which is 1836 gold and 6 gems. And we also found a staff +1. So now we're rested and we can move on. There's no encounter behind this door, but there is behind this one. And again, it has a combination of different types of monsters. It has 2 of these crazed dwarves that are fairly dangerous. What they do is they go on a frenzy and they attack every member of the party. So we should focus on killing them first. Then you also have a sludge beast, which is able to cast acid on every member of the party. So we should take him out as well. At the earlier levels of the game, the Hypno Beetle is a dangerous monster because it can put you to sleep, but as you process through the levels, you gain additional resistance to these spells. So the sleep spell isn't all that effective on us, and the only one that actually fell asleep is the Barbarian. The rest are all awake. So we should probably use the Lightning Bolt spell on the crazed dwarf here. See if we can actually take him down before he has a chance to inflict serious damage on us. We've taken one of them down, which is good. It helps our chances. One of the good things about the crazed dwarf is that once he has attacked you, it's basically a kamikaze attack. So once he has attacked you, he dies and leaves the fight. So if he manages to explode, you end up winning the battle, but potentially with some dead characters, or if you're unlucky, you can end up in a situation where they're all dead, and in which case you lose the battle. But this gained us a decent amount of treasure, which is always good. We can always use golden gems. We can use the gems for casting magic and the gold for buying skills and items and training. So here we have a fairly difficult melee battle. These woodsmen have quite a few hit points, and it could take us a while to plow through all of them. See how far we get without healing. Not that far. We have a dead member already. The rest are fairly far down the line as well. It's probably a good idea to use some common sense here and try to cure some of these. before they end up dead. Most monsters don't actually attack party members that are unconscious, but some do. And this is a battle that we won't win. So it's good that we saved earlier, so we don't have to track all of this again. Just quickly go through these locations again to map them. Won't take very long. We've already been in most of them already. I don't think we saved after making, no, we didn't. After making the changes to the armor, we bought a chainmail. And we traded the chainmail with the archer, and then we removed his ringmail and equipped him with the chainmail instead. Traded the ringmail with the knight and sold that back off along with the rest of his items. Now we explore the rest of this. It's probably a good idea at this point so we don't have to do this again. To not get overconfident and go back to the inn and save the game. Which one of these doors was it? Was it one of the doors down here? Yeah. Okay. So always in this game, when you think you have reached a level where you don't have to constantly worry about getting killed, you end up dead. That's just this game for you. That's how it works. This was a far easier fight than we had previously in that location. There was nothing in here, but there was a battle here. This one isn't nearly as difficult as the previous one, but it's not easy per se, but it's not crazy difficult either. We have a poisoned member of the party, which we can just easily cure using the clerical spells. We can rest, and no treasure this time around. Nothing here, an encounter here. This is not a particularly difficult battle either. Outside of the nasty witch, there isn't a lot of danger in this particular one. Some of these monsters are also dead, so we can take advantage of the turn on dead spell, which will probably eradicate some of them. Yeah. So easily completed this time around. Most of the battles in the game, particularly these ones that are happen during these random spawns of enemies, seem to be mostly luck and level based. So you do get more difficult enemies. The higher level you are. So it isn't necessarily a given that even if you travel to an area which is after having leveled up, that the level is necessarily easy. That's not always the case. The current spirit is a bit of an interesting monster because it's immune to melee attacks, and it strips your character's abilities. So what it eventually does is that it disables your ability to cast spells, which means that they're somewhat impossible to kill at some point. If they manage to remove one of your capabilities that you can't cast spells and you can't use the melee weapons on them, and you can't really take them down. So even if they have a fairly low amount of hit points, they're very difficult to kill. We actually discovered a bee plate mail +3 and a storm wand +3, and these are both very valuable items. The bee plate mail, which can be worn by both the knight and the paladin, has the default plate mail has an armor bonus of 8. The bee plate mail +3 has an armor bonus of 11 then, which means that if we remove this plate mail +2 and equip this bee plate mail +3, we gain an additional armor class point, bringing us up to 16. And the bee plate mail also gives us +15 in resistance to poison, which means that this character will be more unlikely to be poisoned. This character is also already using a plate armor +3, so he already has 16. So the plate mail +2 is something that we could potentially give to the other knight, which has a normal plate mail at this point. So we will trade this item with the hireling knight. And as you can see, this is a hireling because it has the value for cost per day, which is 13, which basically means that we have to pay him 13 pieces of gold for each day that he is a member of the party. And the day passes fairly slow. You can rest 3 times each day. So this isn't a high price to pay for having an additional member of the party. The first hirelings in this game are fairly inexpensive, but as you progress and get the chance to hire other hirelings in the later towns in the games, they are far more expensive. So what I found the first time I played this game is that it's best to take one of the early on hirelings and train them up along with your crew, and only use the other hirelings in special cases. In Magic 1, which I also completed on a PC, although I've never actually completed number 2 in the series. There were some hirelings in the towns there with certain abilities. There were additional clerics and additional sorcerers that were you were very fortunate to be able to bring them along in certain circumstances. There were certain dungeons where it was very beneficial to, for example, to have 2 sorcerers or 2 clerics, and that made it well worth it to go and fetch and hire those hirelings for a few days. But in general, you're mostly stuck with the ones that you found early on. In this particular case, the hirelings are knights and barbarians, and although they don't have any additional skills, they are for most of the monster attacks that you have, which are usually brawls. It's very useful to have additional characters which can have a high number of hit points and can take part in these melee attacks. And by default, there are 6 characters in the predefined characters in the game, and I'm using them for this particular party because they are a fairly good mix. Sir Lancelot, which is the the knight that comes with the game. Although I renamed all of these characters, they were not named like this. It's the same character but with a different name. The knight is neutral and he's a half orc. The paladin is good and he's a dwarf. The archer is neutral, female and human. The robber is evil, male and an elf. The cleric is good, male and a gnome. And the sorcerer is neutral, female and an elf. And there are certain areas of this game, as in many of these early on RPGs and in many of the D&D games, where certain messages and certain areas of the game are inaccessible unless you are a certain character class or a certain alignment. So the game provides you with these 6 characters, which are a decent mix of both the both classes, alignments, and types. And in the case of the game, the most important abilities of each of these characters has a fairly high skill level. For example, the knight has 21 points, which is the maximum in the might category, and 19 in endurance, 17 in accuracy, and 15 in speed. And these are good values for a knight, and that is the same for all of the other characters. Their primary skills are have a fairly high level, and you can create your own characters and roll the dice and try to get better values for the main strengths of each character, but that will take you a long time because these characters are already fairly well balanced. So I just went with the default characters since they're mostly well made and easy to use. This is a difficult battle here. We have 6 of these crazed dwarves. Oh, that's not good. We got hit pretty badly here, which we can resurrect the knight here, or we can power cure the knight. Can't resurrect anyone, but we can give him some of his hit points back. And we can we made it through the battle. Everyone in the party is dead, but we have 1, 2, 3 members of the party which are dead. So that's gonna cost us quite a lot to repair. But we also received a decent amount of gold and gems. So the large knife +3 and a plate armor +3, which is it's a great armor. Actually better than the B plate mail +3, which we can now remove. But, although it doesn't offer any more resistance to poison, it's still a better. It gives us a higher armor class, so we will move the plate mail +3 to the hireling knight, which leaves us with plate mail +2, which we can actually sell, which will give us quite a bit of money since these are special items which fetch quite a bit more. Then you have a large knife +3, which is actually a rather good weapon. For example, for the robber, a decent weapon for the robber type. Large knife +3, trade with the Pink Panther. remove his long dagger, which is the weapon he came with, and equip the large knife +3 instead, and trade the long dagger with the knight again so we can sell it. And then we have a storm wand +3, and I have a web page here which I'm browsing, which has all of the items in the game, which I'm using to help identify some of these. The storm wand gives you protection from electricity +10, so that's actually fairly useful. Well, I believe we will move that over to the sorcerer and equip that here. Since he has the lowest number of points, he needs the most protection against these spells. And then we have the plate map +2, and the long dagger, which we're going to sell. Okay, there is an additional hidden room here, which we have to access from here. There is nothing in here. Okay. Now we need to go find the temple to heal our characters. Where was it again? There's the tavern, here's the temple. We don't have to pay to heal the hirelings. They pay for themselves, but in this case we have to pay a decent amount of money. What is actually a good idea here is that the prices in the temple, they double on for every town that you visit. So in this particular case, the prices are double what they were in the first town. So now is a good time to use the portal to go back to the first town and simply use the temple there. And now instead of paying 1400 to restore the condition, we pay 700. So that's a significant saving. And then we can basically take the portal back for 10. So we spent 20 to save ourselves 1400, which is a worthwhile saving. And now is probably a good time to actually save the game before we perish again. I just want to see if the characters are getting close to leveling up, and they are. We are. The hirelings are fairly close to leveling up to level 7. They need 5,000. One of them are only about 1,500, the other one. So we're close to leveling up the hirelings to level 7, which will bring the entire party up to level 7. Yes, there was a hidden room in the temple, which contained absolutely nothing. And now we need to visit the other side. We already did this, but we died during a battle, so our mapping was lost. I don't think we've actually been here. This door's at the Wizard's Eye. The Beggar's Gift. A one-eyed beggar will teach your party the Wizard's Eye spell for 100 gold. Yep. We will take that. That is actually a very useful spell. I believe it's a clerical spell. No, it's not. It's a sorcerer spell. Yeah, level 3. What the Wizard Eye spell does is brings you this little mini map here on top, which allows you to see where you're going and where you're placed on the map. You can do this for free in the first town. There's a fountain right next to the inn, which you can drink from and automatically basically cast the spell. But it's very useful to be able to cast it, particularly if you're in a dungeon where you're moving around a lot and there are rotations going on, so you see at all times right next to you on the map where you're going. But for normal use, since it costs to cast, I usually just throw up the map every now and then to see where I am. But for 100 gold, that's a gimme. Now we're actually fairly far along. This is the monster ball. We don't have any ticket yet, so let's leave that for now. This was an attack here. We hurried a little bit too much here. We left a character dead. We should probably have taken a little bit of care of what we were doing. So we will have to go back to the first town and fix that at our expense. I would say this was not worth it, but you win some, you lose some. I'm actually not in the correct part of town for the portal. The portal is here. And the temple is here. And we have restored the condition, and now we can travel back. Where are we now? We're here. Okay, it's here. Now we've saved, and we have very little left exploring to do in this town. Go down here. We still haven't explored this area here, which is labeled the slums. Sewage and muck ooze under your foot. It doesn't sound very exciting. A horde of giant rats gnaw on a stove, struggling with them. Help, yeah, that's probably a good idea. Some sewer rats and some beetles are here. What we can do is the lightning bolt spell is very useful on these. These are not difficult to fight at all. There's nothing here, but we saved someone, and that's good. I'll probably be awarded for that at a later stage. Okay, so here are the stairs to the cavern down below, which is a dungeon which is attached to every town. There's always a cavern below the town. And we're not quite ready to go there yet, but it's good to know that this is the entrance. Here is some sort of riddle. I think I'll screenshot this and save it in my WordPad document that I use to keep track of all the various hints that are found throughout the game. It's very likely that this is some sort of rotation-based riddle. Although I can't tell right now exactly how to solve it. Might have to get back to that at a later stage in the game. And here is a hidden wall which leads nowhere. And somehow we have to access this room as well. So here's another hidden wall. And here's an encounter with some beetles and lizards and a hermit. This is a melee fight. So I think we can get through this one fairly easily. The lizards have a lot of hit points, but they aren't very good at fighting characters that have this high armor class, so we're mostly safe. And this got us a lot of gold and a weapon called the Fireball O +1, which is potentially interesting. I want to look up that particular item and see what. Okay, this is a much better weapon than the archer has right now, so we will move this weapon over to the archer. Remove item, equip this one. It gives you additional protection from fire, and it gives you, by default, up to 10 damage points per hit, and +1 means that it's then 11. So we have plenty of uses for this crossbow. We can, for example, trade it to the robber, which can then use it as a weapon. It already has a critical +1. Okay, fine. Move this over to the knight. And we're done here. Since we found these items and I don't want to lose them, I'm going to travel back to the inn to save our progress. Where am I? I'm here. The inn is here. And then go back into the sewers to finish mapping that up and finding whatever is left here. Back in the slums again. An old wino Belgius. The Snow Beast has a secret lair in the city walls. Okay, so somewhere along the way in this town is the lair of the Snow Beast, which we will have to kill at some point. Satellite beggars and cripples crowd the alley, pleading for a handout. Toss them a gold piece. Yeah, that's the humane thing to do. And we get a little tip. Day 93 is Nature's Day, which is something that will probably prove useful to know at some point. We will throw them a few gold coins, see if there's another hint here, and there isn't. So it's now day 59 in the year 900. So in 40 days it will be Nature's Day, and at some point we will find out what significance that has to us and how we can, what it is that we can do on Nature's Day. And we've run into an encounter here, a fairly difficult one. There are 3 minor demons, a super sprite, some of these muggers which are easy enough, and some of these crazed dwarves. So this is a very difficult battle, but we saved not long ago, so let's try our hand with it anyway. It's when you manage to beat tough enemies, it tends to help you level up a little bit. The dwarves are very difficult to fight because they do these frenzies and they leave most of your crew dead, especially when there are so many of them as there are right now. Can do now is we can help ourselves a little bit by using the healing spells, but obviously we can't help the members which are already dead. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 members of the crew who are dead, and one that is unconscious, and one that is barely able to keep breathing, and the barbarian, which still has 25 hit points. We might still survive this battle, but it will cost us a lot to repair. So, depending on... And we don't have to wonder about that because we died. And we can then simply go back and remap this. And even try our hand at this battle again, because very often these are random encounters to some degree, so you don't get exactly the same monsters again if you go to the same spot. There's an element of luck usually involved. We already know this by now, but in the now this for example is a lot easier than it was. Although we get poisoned, this is a fairly easy battle. Friar Tuck can easily cure the poisoned members of the party, and we can simply arrest to gain back our hit points. Nothing here, so this is a fairly pointless battle. Okay. This is obviously a hidden little room. This is an okay encounter. We can use the killer bees are not that difficult, but nowhere near as difficult as the dwarves. And none of these numbers either. And we found a decent amount of golden gems and the scythe +4, which is potentially a useful weapon. The scythe is up to 9 and can be used by the barbarian, who is currently using a halberd +2. Which is a more powerful weapon than the scythe. What is the paladin currently using? A great axe +2, which is also a more powerful weapon. So we will simply sell this. You will simply sell this at the blacksmith and it will fetch a decent amount of gold. It's not better than the weapons that we currently have. It's still a pretty good weapon. Since the knight's backpack is full, I'm gonna go back and sell some of his loot to the blacksmith, which was here somewhere. The embassy, the training area, the inn, the maid scout, the tavern, the temple, the portal. Where was where is the blacksmith hiding? Very difficult to track down, Mr. Blacksmith. Definitely not down here. If that was the locksmith, the one that sold us the key. No, that's not it. The big house accessories. Here he is. We can sell. Okay. I have to be well. I'm deceased. Okay. That's not great. Well, means we need to visit the temple because we don't currently have cure disease. The spell that we need. Okay. How did I manage to loot? Okay, sorry. Keep getting lost here. It will come to me. Here it is. Plate mail, long dagger, flamberge, and a crossbow. And one of the odd things is that one of the disadvantages of having the hireling so high up in the list of characters is that he can't shop. He can't buy and he can't sell. So if you need to buy and sell something, you need to buy and sell as a playing character, then trade with the hireling. And the site fetched us 775 gold, so that's a significant amount of money. That's good. Recouped some of the costs that we had earlier. So now we're mostly done with the slum here. Although not quite yet. This was not the same message. It says glowing eyes follow your progress. That probably means that the lair of the snow beast is here somewhere. And I assume that this spawning point is where you can enter its lair, since it's obviously hidden. And I'm probably right. No, these are just some druids. Gargoyle. A druid is annoying because he casts this silence spell, which makes it difficult to cast spells. you eventually become immune to these attacks, but until then they are, particularly for parties that rely heavily on casting magic, somewhat of a hindrance. Okay, this was actually not that difficult. So this is not the entrance to the snow beast lair. I assume that's the gray area up here, which can probably be accessed from some of the points we already found. So now I'm going to go back and pick out accessories. A tough old blacksmith glares at your party and shouts, "Hey, only cowards browse. View wares? Yeah." Sell what we just found here. And in addition to that, I'm going to take a look at the specials. And in addition to that, I'm going to take a look at the miscellaneous items because I'm going to purchase some of these yellow tickets, which we need to be able to take part in the fights in the arena. So now we have 6 tickets. I'm gonna run back to the inn, save our status and the map, and then I'm going to brawl a little bit in the monster bowl here. This is a big room with some doors at the corners of the room. So in the middle is the actual monster bowl. The games master accepts your ticket. Let the brawl begin. So we get some experience points and we get gold. This is actually a fairly difficult battle. We might even lose it. Yeah. But never mind, we save the game for a purpose. We'll make a mental note of the fact that this monster was able to cast a paralyze spell, which rendered most of the party members unable to fight. So make a mental note that this is a more difficult monster than it seemed, at least at first. Since we're here anyway, I might as well check what's behind these doors. So there's an encounter behind this door here. Okay, we can't use magic. Okay, so we have to rely on the melee attack here, which makes these battles slightly more difficult, but not impossible. At least not this one. We found the hero medal, which is actually fairly useful. What the hero medal does is that it increases your personality points of the character, so it helps with characters that need a high personality, which are the cleric and the main cleric of the party, Friar Tuck, already has a hero medal too, so his personality is 26. It's originally 21, so it's been enhanced by 5 points. And what that does for you is that it enables you to have more spell points, because the spell points are tied to the level of the character as well as his personality. So in this case, I'm going to allow the paladin, which is a secondary clerical caster, to have add to his personality score, which will bring it up to 19, which is 2 from the original maximum, although you can increase all of these skills up to 99 using various items, although if you just use the items that you find in the game, I think that's mostly impossible. You would have to do some character editing of some sort to be able to reach that level. Let's get out of here. We've done one of these battles now, and this one is slightly more difficult. These bees are tough to deal with. Every time you get at least a little bit cocky in this game, you end up dead. That's what basically tends to happen a lot. This is a very difficult battle that we found ourselves in here. We have 2 surviving members of the party, and now we're dead. So much for the hero medal that we found for the paladin. We will have to find that again at some later point in the game. And we have to remap this area again. It's probably a good idea to only take one of these rooms at a time and then go back to the inn and save our progress so that we don't lose it again. We can't use magic, so we might as well just try to quick fight ourselves out of this, which we succeeded in doing. I'm going to follow my own advice and go back to the inn and save our progress here, so we don't have to do this again. It's difficult enough that I don't think we will risk doing all of these rooms at the same time. We will end up dead more times than not. These are all woodsmen. They're difficult to fight, but not impossible. We might survive this, but we might not. The disadvantage of not being able to cast magical spells is that, of course, we can't heal during battles, so that removes one of the advantages that we have. You can see that these are fairly random battles because this one is very easy, whereas the one we just fought earlier was very difficult. And the treasure is probably random as well because the treasure is not tied to the monster that you were fighting. You're getting a lot of treasure here for what was a fairly easy fight. So now we finished 2 of these rooms and 2 remain still. Let's go back, save our progress. And continue. Done these 2, and these 2 remain. Yeah. Okay, so this is incredibly difficult. There are 29 of these crazed natives, and they are like the crazed dwarf. They will attack you and explode. So, all intents and purposes, we are dead. Yeah. And this is why we go back and save. Okay, so this is fairly difficult as well. but not quite as difficult as the one before. We might end up cursed, but we can easily fix that in the temple. Found them all. +4. Which is actually a fairly useful weapon, since it can be used by almost all of the characters. The mall +4 is something that I think we should give to the cleric. Who is currently using a Slumber Club +3. Okay, it's actually also a fairly good weapon. Perhaps this is not better than that, so we'll trade this with character number 3 then, the Paladin. And what was the other find? The Sling +4. Okay. We could potentially use the Sling as a range weapon for the Cleric. The Cleric can't wear a Sling. The Cleric can't wear a Sling, okay. Okay, then the Sling isn't really useful to us, so what we will do, since we can't sell from the hireling, we will trade these items with the Paladin, which is can actually sell items in the shop, and we will sell them to the blacksmith when we visit him now, because we're going to go back anyway and save our progress. And on our way back, we'll visit the blacksmith, just here. Let's sell some stuff. The maul, the saber, the sling, and the padded armor. Thank you very much. Save the game and go right back and finish the last monster room in the monster bowl, and then we will do 6 sprawls to use up our yellow tickets, gain some experience, and some money as well. So this was a fairly easy battle. So we've done these 4 little mini battles here. Still gonna go back and save the process so we don't have to go through this again. Doesn't take very long, and it's quicker than having to go back at a later stage. So now let's use the tickets. Master's Cavalier. It's a good idea every once in a while to actually use one of these Identify Monster spells. Okay, so this is a fairly difficult knight-like character. He has an armor class of 17, which means that he's very hard to hit. And he also has 70 hit points, so he can take a lot of beating before going down. And he's resistant to magic as well. So these are worthwhile foes. I think it's a good idea to cast a blast spell here, which slightly increases our chances of actually hitting him. Which, with an armor class this high, is going to definitely help us. We've already managed to kill one of them. And for everyone we kill, our odds of actually being able to get out of this alive increase quite a bit. I'm gonna use the power cure on the sorcerer, which was already down to 6. Okay, they still managed to make her unconscious. Because the most powerful thing we can do against these cavaliers at the moment is to use the lightning bolt spell, because that's able to hit up to 4 of them with up to 30 damage. And that helps a lot in this particular situation. The sorcerer is a very important character at this point. Important to use our cure on her if we need to. And we're making progress. There are only 2 of them left, and both of them already have some hits to them. We'll restore the hit points of the paladin as well, and I'll use the lightning bolt once more. And now there is only 1 of them remaining, and we managed to beat them for 1400 experience points, and we get 3000 gold, which is definitely a decent amount of gold. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back here and train, because we only needed a few points more to level the hirelings up to level 7, and we've already reached that point. So now we can train them both, and they will gain quite a few hit points. Drog now has 80 hit points, so I'm not gonna move into the front of the party, because usually the frontmost member, which is Sir Lancelot in this case, he gets most of the treasure, and it's so much easier to have the frontmost member be someone that can actually use the shop. But other than that, if it wasn't a hireling, I would place him in front, because he now has the highest number of hit points. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to exchange the archer with the knight, because the archer has a slightly lower number of hit points. So I want to keep him slightly safer down here below, because he's better with the bow anyway, and you can use the ranged attack, and it's also perhaps even good in the quick fights to move him down to the 5 spot, because it makes it more likely for him to shoot, because if he's not in front, the default action will be to shoot. Then I'm gonna save the changes that we made here and go back and use the rest of our tickets in the Monster Bowl. Okay, so here we have 8 of these crazed natives, and this is an almost certain. Okay, we survived, but with 1, 2, 3 dead members of the cast, which will cost us 2100 to repair. Well, we don't have to pay for the hirelings, so that's, we don't have to pay for these 2. We only have to pay for the Pink Panther, so it's only 700. Okay, I think we'll take that and simply use the we want 3000 gold, so we will just use the teleport, go back to the town, go back to Middlegate, use the temple there to restore for 700, and we're back in business. I'm going the wrong way here. Save again. We have 4 tickets remaining of the ones that we bought. Cursed Slayer. A lot of curses. This is a fairly difficult battle. And we're probably gonna end up dead. We might have won it, but been left with probably almost all of the characters cursed. A Viking. What can a Viking do? 80 hit points, armor class of 14. Special power. These are pretty big blows that the Viking does to the party, but perhaps not impossible to beat, although he does have a lot of hit points. Definitely going to require using magic to make it out of this alive, even if we do, and I doubt it. Well, in any case, definitely have to use the power cure a lot to heal the members of the party while we go through this. We've killed 2 of them. There are now 5 left. For everyone we take down, we take less damage each turn, so that's good. Now there are only 3 of them left. And I think we're going to beat this battle. Yeah, we are. And gain a significant amount of experience, as well as gaining 3,000 gold for winning. So that's worth a save. And we can then go back. We still have 3 tickets. Of course, we can buy as many of these tickets as we want, but okay, so that was interesting. We won, but with every member of the cast except for 3 dead. Two of which are hirelings, 3 of which are characters. Cost us. It will cost us 2,100 to repair, but we want 3,000, so we might as well just go back and do that. It gains some experience for the magic casters, so that's probably a worthwhile trade-off. Restore. Cost us 2,100 out of the 3,000 that we won, but still okay. We have how many tickets left? We have 1 ticket because we wasted one of them accidentally stepping into the field when we were trying to get away. So okay, we'll finish our last ticket here. What level are these monsters? They're fairly high up, but not impossible to kill. So just melee our way through. Okay. We have a deceased party member. We need to go to the temple and restore his condition. And then we can go back to the inn, save our status, and check out the training area to see if we've leveled up enough. No, but we are getting close with the single skill characters. They're actually getting very close to reaching level 8. The knight needs about 10,000. The robber needs about 7,500. The cleric needs about 5,800. Okay. So we're getting there. I'm gonna save our progress again, and then I'm going to see how far off we are from being able to attack the snow beast, which is the only area of this map that we haven't discovered yet. And we were told that the snow beast has its lair here somewhere, and that means that it has to be here somewhere. Nothing in this room, and we can't enter this room. This is a This is a very difficult battle. We have 27 of these crazed natives which will attack us and explode. We can't run, so this is a near certain death. Yeah. So let's try that one again, see if it's completely random or whether we are just nowhere near level high enough to be able to do this, which might be the case. Okay, no, this is actually a much easier one. So it's luck based as well as it's not easy, but it's far easier than the one that we had previously. These minor demons are fairly difficult because they, although they don't really have a very high degree of hit points. They cast these energy blasts, which do some real damage to the party. This is a monster called the Coffin Creep. Let's see what his abilities are. He's undead. He's resistant to magic. He has 50 hit points. Not impossible to beat by any stretch of the imagination. We can use the turn undead spell, which will remove a few of them. And then we can attack the rest of them with melee attacks. So that battle was actually fairly easy. On the battle axe +4. Potentially a useful weapon. Yeah, it's definitely a better weapon than the archer currently has. So let's see if we can equip him with move the scythe and equip him with the battle axe instead. And we can sell the scythe. Okay, rest for now. And this is then potentially the entrance to. No, it's not actually. So we don't have to go through this battle to be able to reach this gray area here. But how is it then whether we can get there? Do we need to go from the other side? It's not easy to reach in any case. Okay, we've now been everywhere, but still unable to find the snow beast. It says glowing eyes follow your progress. But he's not in there. Go through this battle again just to get back into this room. But we've already been in here. We're already here and we didn't meet any snow beast. Huh. I've now gone through all of these sectors again and searched every one of them to see if some hidden treasure somewhere. or something that the snow beast has left behind, but no such luck. So it seems that the snow beast is at least not here, or we're not ready to fight it at this point. So I think for now we'll present do a little exploring of the sign into the inn here and save our progress. And I'm going to go visit the blacksmith and sell our items here. We have a skill potion along the side. Plate down a sling, a mace, and and some more stuff which we'll trade with the knight so we can actually sell it. And gain some of the gold. Okay. And then we'll go back here and save again. And then I'm going to go down into the cavern and do a little light exploring there. It might be that the lair of the snow beast is actually down in the cavern, but not up here. The cavern entrance was through this pile of rats here, which we need to beat to be able to enter into the cavern. And let's descend into the cavern. It's always dark in these caverns, and you need to cast a light spell, in which case the light moves to 1. In some of the caverns, it's so dark that you need a spell called Lusting Light, or an item which basically does the same thing, which casts 20 levels of light. So you can move 20 squares without having to cast the light spell again. The sign said, "Beware of vermin." I assume there are plenty of rats down here. We seem to have stepped into an ankle trap, which hurt the characters a little bit, mostly the sorcerer, because he has a very low armor class and is susceptible to sustaining a lot of damage if something happens. This is just a room with a bunch of doors, and none of them labeled, so let's just go through some of them. Master Thief to the left, it says on the sign, so let's visit the Master Thief. Some interesting monsters here. Strangler is particularly annoying. And so is the current spirit. I was hoping that we had a cure paralysis spell on the cleric, but it seems that we do not at this current point in time. So all we can do here is restore some hit points. we haven't really taken a lot of damage. It's mostly the paralysis, which is making it very difficult for us to stay in this fight. And when we're all paralyzed, we're automatically dead. So eventually, the paralysis meant that we lost the battle. Let's make another attempt at this though. The Master Thief sounds interesting. Perhaps there is something to be gained by finding him and potentially killing him. Cast the light again. Here's the ankle trap again. This time it was Roland which got hit with the ankle trap. We'll rest to restore the hit points that we lost, and then we'll traverse back here. This is obviously a spawn point. It has some cripples and 4 minor devils. This is tough, but not impossible. Although the minor devil had a very successful first outing here. He caused a ton of damage to the party. So I'm not entirely sure we will. I take back my previous statement that this is a doable battle. It's probably not at this stage. I'm not gonna win this battle either, but I'm willing to give it one more go because these encounters are luck based to some degree, and you just need one break to be able to make it through. And if on the third try we have no success, we'll come back to this level of the dungeon at a later state. It's entirely possible that we are not ready for the Cavern of this town yet, and that might mean that we go back to Middlegate and explore the area outside of Middlegate first before attempting the cavern here again. The game doesn't always help you, and it isn't always fully linear. Sometimes you have these deviations where you need to go do something else for a bit and then return once you've leveled up a little bit. Sometimes it's only one level that you're missing to be able to move further. This is also difficult, but perhaps we need to get rid of the poltergeists. The Hypno Beetle is a similar monster to the Paralysis monster that we fought earlier, but the difference is that our level means that we are we have a far higher resistance to the sleep spell than we do to the paralysis spell at this point. So our chances of surviving this battle are much higher simply due to that fact. So now we can basically just slowly fight our way through this because the Hypno Beetle isn't able to put all of the party members to sleep. So some of them are awake, so that means we can slowly work away at them. We need to cure poison for Drak, but other than that, it's just a matter of resting. So we made it through on the third attempt, and this is another long corridor. We'll check all the walls here for messages, hidden messages. That's a good idea since we're down here for the first time. When we go down here again, we won't have to check all the walls because we've been here before. We stepped into one of these ankle traps again. I lost about 20 hit points, so I'm gonna risk just in case we need to use them in a battle at some stage. The thieving fiend Maxwell will teach all your thieves the intricacies of its trade for only 250 gold. Except yes, we definitely very funny game. This is very funny. So basically, he offered to teach us a skill, and a thief got away with our money. So I guess the sign was right. He is a master thief. Won't be fooled again, though. Okay. There's a door. And another door. And more corridors. Some soldiers and a swamp dog. These enemies are not... They are much easier than the ones that we fought on the previous 2 trips down here. The swamp dog has the ability to disease us, so it's a good idea to get rid of him first. Since we need to go back upstairs to heal if we get diseased. This was not a tough battle by any means. And we found an S scale mail, which is a good find. +2. That's a good find. It's definitely worth quite a bit. Doesn't have a lot of protection, but it's one of the armors that the archer can actually wear. Let's see if it's better than what he's currently wearing. Goes from 9 to 3, and this gives him 6, so it's basically the same, but with added protection from energy. Gains 15 points in additional resistance to energy, so that's better. So we will trade the armor that he previously had to the knight, sell it once we get back upstairs. Before I go further on in here, it's probably a good idea to explore this a little bit more. Let's hope we don't run into a battle we can't win, because I'm not particularly interested in losing our progress so far. These curse slayers are really kind of difficult, and obviously they can also curse you, so it's a good idea to try to take them out first. Cast the bless spell to increase our chances of hitting, And then we can use the lightning bolt on all 4 of them. Only 1 of them left, and okay. We have some cursed members, but other than that, we survived pretty well. We found an iron helm +4, and it's actually also a fairly useful item. The cleric and the barbarian can wear the iron helm. That's actually very useful because one of the very few items of armor the barbarian can wear is a helmet. Can't actually wear a shield, and he can't wear all armor. He can only basically use the leather suit. So it's very difficult to increase his armor class. So we'll replace this helm +2 with this iron helm +4, which brings his armor class up to 12, which is a good improvement. This one, Sir Lancelot has a silver helm +1. I think I'll keep it. The 1 additional point every game is not worth it to replace it with the silver helm. The silver helm gives you additional protection from energy, so that's always going to be worth it. However, the paladin only has a regular helm, so we'll give the helm +2 to him instead, which will increase his armor class from 16 to 18. And trade the regular helm with the knight to sell it. And now I'm very tempted, since we've found quite a few useful items down here, to go back and save our progress. And the disadvantage of having to go back to save now is that we have to these same spawn points for the enemies as were down here previously. They will be here again when we go back downstairs. So we will have to do all of these battles again to progress. So like many of the early RPGs, this is a bit of a grind, but not impossible. And it's challenging, this game, as was the previous game as well. But it's frustrating to a point, but never to the point where you're so frustrated that you just want to leave. It's sort of the right balance, although it can get a little annoying at times. Now, however, we need to remember where we came in. And it's here. It's here where we came in. Let's see. Oh, yeah. We go back out here. Yeah. Let's visit the blacksmith, sell some of his stuff. The flamage, I'm cursed. Yeah, I'm cursed. We need to fix that first. The blacksmith doesn't allow you to use the shop when you're paralyzed or cursed or otherwise hurt in some way. Okay, did some of the items spill down to the hireling? No. Okay. So we sold all of the loot. Let's visit the training area, see if we can level up any of the characters. Need 5,000 here for level 8, 2,800, 1,200. That's not a lot. Fairly close to leveling up. It's very tempting now to save the progress. go back downstairs and try to see if we can finish the night by leveling up to level 8 on these 3 characters before calling it a night. We need to fight the rats again. It's not a good idea to descend downstairs in a cursed or diseased state, so I suggest we go and heal before doing so. Something about the layout of this town that makes it very difficult for me to remember where I'm going. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. We haven't explored all of the area here, but at least we don't have to step into the ankle trap again. Perhaps we shall start by going in this direction now. Here's another ankle trap for us to step into. Just as I was saying, we had to escape the one that we had to step in before the map was square. This one says Sharp Tooth Den. I assume we're heading for danger here. Let's go. We have 8 of these killer canines. And they are truly killer canines. They did a lot of damage to us. We'll use the power cure, so Roland, and then use the lightning bolt, which helps a lot. Um, 8 of them is apparently doable, but I'm fairly sure that if there had been a few more, it would have been a much more difficult fight, since they do a significant amount of damage each time, but we still gained 2,000 experience points, so on our way to the 5,000 that we need to level up to at level 8, that's quite a bit. 40% in fact. Hidden amongst the packs. Bone Cache is a dog whistle. Okay, I'm gonna look that up on my list of items here. That's basically a item that you can use to cast spell 4/4, which is the guard dog spell. Okay, that could potentially come in handy, so we'll trade this item with the sorcerer in case we need to use this spell before we are able to add it to our arsenal of spells. We're mostly done exploring this room here. Now we're done. Okay. We know at the end of the hall there's another fight, like the ones we had previously. And I think it's good enough to just go back upstairs and save our progress. We already gained some 2,000 experience points, and we found the whistle. So we'll just go back and save and go down again. So if we die during the battle at the end of the corridor, as we did 2 times previously, we at least don't lose the little progress that we made here. Here we go. Rest and go downstairs before we it's probably our last trip down here for the night. Hopefully when we go back upstairs we need to buy some more food because we're running out of food at this point. At some point you do get a spell to help you create food, but it does cost gems, and the food is very cheap, so it's better to just buy it from the tavern. Okay, this doesn't actually look all that bad. Those inept wizards are dangerous because they can cast energy spells, but they also have very few hit points, so they're easy to get rid of. And this was actually not all that difficult, although we ended up with 2 members of the party deceased. So what we'll do, we'll pass the power cure on those 2 and rest up, which will basically restore our condition fully. Obviously we can't restore hit points to these 2 characters which are deceased now without using spells, but still it allows us to at least move forward. This is not a very difficult battle either. Ranger is a formidable enemy, but actually isn't nearly as tough as a soldier, for example. It's quite amazing that the John, the programmer of this, the first game and the second game as well, at least parts of it, he programmed almost all of the first game on his Apple II, and in his spare time, took him almost 3 years to complete. And basically, this entire series of games, which lasted for almost 20 years or even more, and had at least 8 sequels made, was born from a bedroom programmer working on his Apple II at home. And in my opinion, it's one of the best early RPGs. I really like the many of the character traits, and I also like the mysticy of these worlds. We found an S plate mail +2 here. Don't think it will actually help us. What is Sir Iron using as an armor now? A B plate mail +3. Okay. No, I don't think we will actually use it. We will probably sell it along. We have to cast a power cure again on the deceased party members to have them regain their hit points. But we can move on. For a while there earlier, I thought we were in one of these positions in the game where we weren't ready to explore further, but that does not actually seem to be the case. We've been able to mostly get around the dungeon after completing the fight at the end of the corridor. Okay, this is we've come to a full circle here. There's a room here. Alright, killer cobras, which we disturbed by entering into their room. I would also probably be annoyed if someone just opened the door to my home without introducing himself. Or even knocking. I suggest we use the power cure on night now. These are difficult, but with a little thinking, I think we can finish this fight. Probably would not survive it if we had just gone ahead and tried a quick fight. It's quite possible using a little thought. Now Sir Lancelot is also poisoned. That's not a good combination. So to be both poisoned and diseased, that sounds like a case of the COVID to me. It's probably a good idea to cure him at least a little bit. Although he's still diseased, we can't fix that without going back up to the temple. And here we have a message. That's our prize for fighting through this room. The mystic thaumaturge. Thaumaturge? Good. Can be freed if you enter right 32 and left 64. Okay, so this is an answer to a riddle that we are presented with at some later stage of the game, as is often the case. These are all basically vermin, which we can kill fairly easily. And we gained absolutely nothing by doing so, except experience. But let's assume that they're starting something here. This is a large room. It leads down there and closes the map off a little bit. And now we've mostly completed this upper level here. Once again, checking every wall for a message. There are often hidden messages on the walls. And this is a very difficult battle, which we might not survive. We have 2 of these sludge beasts, and we have quite a few of these soldiers. Let's see. We'll use the lightning bolt. We need to get rid of the sludge beast because it will do a significant amount of damage if it's allowed to attack us. Because it's able to cast these acid spells on every member of the party. So far, things have been fairly tame. We haven't received a lot of damage, and the soldiers are melee weapon types, so we can attack them by using magic, which will help us along quite a bit. And now we're just left with these flesh eaters. think we can just basically quick fire ourselves out of this now. The rotten box sends razor sharp metal spikes into us, but we gain some treasure anyway. So we should probably cure the knight and the barbarian using spells, and then the rest. So now we're done with this room here. So we can go back down this corridor and see what's waiting for us down here. This is a fairly difficult battle. There are 4 jugglers which will attack every member of the party, and there are 3 insect plagues which will bite us all to death. So that's fun. We're not in a good condition right now. The only positive here is that one of the only options that we might have in this case is to run away, which means that every member of the party that is not able to run is dead. But they were dead anyway. So we live to fight another day, but we have to do a lot of healing. So let's travel back to Middlegate, visit the temple here. We need to cure his disease. We need to restore his condition. There are still 3 members of the party which are dead. So the total cost of doing this was almost 3,000 gold, but we've gained a lot more in dungeons, so that's fine. And what we should do now is travel back to the inn and save our progress so we don't lose what progress we've made so far. And we can visit the blacksmith, sell some of the stuff that we found. That S plate mail is worth a fortune. So gives 10 and plus 15 defense against energy. It's basically 18 versus 15. Okay. For the other knights, 17 versus 16. And different, those are still different protections that we have. The B is protection from poison, which isn't all that dangerous to us right now. Whereas the S is protection from energy, which is actually far more dangerous to us right now. Because we can cure the poison pretty easily using the clerical spells. But the energy spells take hit points. This one has a plate armor plus 3. Yeah, so we would go down if we were to use this. we go if we do this? We go from 18 to 16. Yeah, I think we'll sell the B plate mail +3 at this point, since we have no other characters which can actually use it. So it's worth more. It's worth more than the other one, although it doesn't have. It isn't as useful to us, so we'll sell it, and at least it recoups the cost of the healing to the characters and quite a bit more. So we come out with a fairly big surplus. Let's see if we've done enough to be able to train. Yeah, we have been trained for level 8 here, and for the robber and for the knight and for the friar and for the clerical character. So level 8 doesn't bring any additional spells. Level 9 is the one that brings the level 5 spells. Or am I mistaken here? Is it level 8 that brings the level 4? Yeah, it probably is, because now we have Cure Disease, which is immensely useful. So we don't have to go up again when we are diseased. We've also run out of food now, so before we go to the inn and retire for the night, I should visit a tavern and purchase some food. The tavern was on the other side. Yeah, it's here. Feeding frenzy, all you can carry for 40 gold. So now we're all stocked up on food, and we've leveled up our characters, equipped the items that we found, and finished this entire town. About 1/4 of the dungeon downstairs. So I think this is a decently good point to exit the game. You're sure, yeah. And what I'm going to do here, and what I've done, is take a backup of the roster file in case something happens. This is a roster backup. Sandsobar level 7 and 8. Well, 7/8. Can we do that? Yeah. The Mac doesn't care if you use a slash in the file name. Unlike many other systems, there's the duplicate. We'll simply copy this file here and rename it master roster again. And then we have a backup. So I hope you have enjoyed the stream. Thanks for coming along. I'll probably continue this mission tomorrow at a similar time, 2200 UTC, and finish up the cavern beneath Sandsobar, and possibly explore some of the outside areas out of Middlegate as well when we finish that, before going to the third town. There are some areas around Middlegate which are interesting. I want to try visiting some of the castles close to there and see if we are any match to the enemies in the castles yet, because they offer fairly good treasure. You can gain quite a bit of gold by going there, and also some tips and tricks and some hidden messages that we can use on the quest. But for now, thanks for watching, and see you, if not tomorrow, then Sunday night. Good night.